Look, there's a gazillion reasons why Washington lost to Philly in the NFC Championship game, but I'm going to give you the top 5 right here, right now on Ref the District. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Ref the District on the day after the Washington Commanders lose the championship game in the NFC to the Philadelphia Eagles, 55-23 in a beatdown of epic proportions. It was a rough thing to take, but it's a day later now. Got a chance to sleep on it, got a chance to look at the film, go over a few things, and analyze what really happened on Sunday and what were the biggest reasons why Washington lost this game. Now, look, there are so many reasons why Washington lost this game. And we could do a video for the next 3-4 hours to try and break it down. But I'm just going to give you the top 5 reasons. And if you're here and you're an Eagles fan, don't worry. We're going to give the Eagles the credit that they deserve because Philadelphia came into that game and just absolutely had a great game plan and whooped us at every level in every way. We don't deny that at all. But we're just going to take a look at it. And this is not a video of excuses for the Commanders and what happened. This is just analyzing what happened and talking about it and looking at what Washington could have done better and what they can do in the future to improve upon this. So hopefully years down the road as we go along, next year, the year after, Washington can be in the same position, learn from it, use this game as motivation for sure, and then find themselves on the other end of the ass whooping and actually beating the Eagles. So glad you're stopping by to check this out. Again, if you're an Eagles fan, your credit is given by all of us here. If you're a Commanders fan, always appreciate you coming in. And again, we're not giving excuses. We're just going to analyze it and talk about exactly what happened. Appreciate everybody who's here. Make sure you hit that like button and make sure you hit that subscribe button. And look, we put out content all the time. We're going to have some awesome off-season content now that it's finally the off-season. The latest it's been the off-season in how long? It's just been a long time since we've actually it's been a long time since we've had a short off-season as we're having right now. I mean, this is like a month later than what we're normally used to getting ready for the draft and free agency and looking at salary cap and looking at what needs to be done to improve this roster. So that part was great about it. But look, before the game, if you had told me, I'll give you 31 points and I'll still take the Eagles. I mean, you take that every day, right? But in this case, you would have ended up losing that. But if you do like to bet, go to Bet Online because Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. When you're a seasoned fan, whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is the ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, and even the UFC, BetOnline is the number one sports betting source for the new year. Touchdowns, three-pointers, hat tricks, BetOnline has you covered on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for letting me get that out of the way. We love our sponsors here on Ref the District, and BetOnline is one of those great sponsors. So I think you're going to be surprised when we get to number 1. So hang in there. Check out what I'm talking about. See if you agree with me with what I'm saying are the top 5 biggest reasons Washington lost this game. And if you don't, that's no problem. Let us know in the comments section and what you think maybe is a little bit out of order, or if you thought something was more important that didn't make our top 5. But let's get right to the top 5. Number 5, going to go in descending order like that. The 5th biggest reason that Washington lost this game, penalties. They didn't have a ton of penalties. I mean, 9 is a lot of penalties, but for only 47 yards, if you remember, there was all those penalties down by the tush push, that little game that went on there. I think there was 3 of them that were accepted, and they kept moving the ball from like here to like here to like here because you couldn't get any closer when you go half the distance to the goal. But they had 9 penalties for 47 yards. Now, that's not a lot, right? But there were some crucial penalties that cost Washington this game, and I'm going to go over the 3 biggest penalties. First of all, it was 14-12. Philadelphia had the lead, and they had the ball 3rd and 13 at Washington's 17-yard line when Marshawn Lattimore got the penalty in the end zone on Devontae Smith. That was a pass interference in the end zone. You put the ball at the 1-yard line. Philadelphia does a tush push, gets in for a touchdown, takes a 20-12 lead. It's 3rd and 13 when that penalty occurs. If he doesn't make that penalty because it was an incomplete pass, then maybe Washington holds him to a field goal attempt. And Josh Elliott hasn't been doing great. Jake Elliott, I don't care what his name is for Philadelphia. The kicker has been struggling. As you saw in this game, he did miss a field goal. Now, it's easy to say, well, if not for the pass interference, he probably catches it. Well, that's true, and that's fair, and I totally get that. However, if you don't pass interfere with him, you don't get the penalty, and then you never know what happens during the course of the play. But probably right. If he doesn't interfere with him, he gets the touchdown. But still, 3rd and 13. Better coverage equals a pass knockdown, a pass breakup, a PBU. Washington holds him to a field goal attempt. That was a huge penalty. The next one, of course, was on 3rd and 10. And they had it at the 24-yard line. After the McNichols fumble on the kick return, they had Philadelphia had a 3rd and 10 at the 24-yard line. They give it to Barkley. Barkley goes off the right side, and then you have the unnecessary roughness, late hit out of bounds on Mikey Sanistril. Bang, bang play. It was right on the sidelines. Usually you're going to kind of let that one go because it was so close, but they called the penalty. And again, replay can get involved in that. Expedited replay can look at it real quick and see if it needs to be picked up. If it is clear and obvious that it was not out of bounds, then they pick it up. But look, was it a penalty? Probably. Is it a penalty they should be calling in the NFC Championship game? Probably not. But it was still a huge penalty on 3rd and 10. Again, you would have gotten off the field and forced a field goal attempt from Elliott. Huge penalty. Huge penalty. Then the third one was Philadelphia was up 41-23. Another 3rd down. This time it's 3rd and 4 at Washington's 25. And Jeremy Chin gets called for a pass interference on Dallas Goedert down to the corner of the end zone. And they get, of course, a 1st down off of that where the penalty occurred. I believe it was like at the 8 or the 7-yard line. And, of course, Philadelphia scores, gets a touchdown, goes up 48-23 ball game. Now, you can say 41-23 ball game. You can say if he doesn't interfere him, he's making the catch for a touchdown. Whatever. It's still the fact that they had the penalty. If you play better defense and don't cause a penalty, don't commit a penalty, then you get a stop and you force them, again, to a field goal attempt. Those 3 biggest penalties were all on 3rd down. So penalties is my number 5 reason that Washington lost this game to Philadelphia. Number 4, I'm going to go to, believe it or not, everyone wants to put this at the top. I get it. But wait till you hear what I have at the top before you judge me on this. But the turnovers. I mean, the turnovers were brutal. You had 4 turnovers. And guess how many points that led to? 28. Philadelphia scored a touchdown on every single turnover. But again, some of them were bigger than the others. That first one, Philadelphia was leading 7-3, right? And Washington got the ball back and they start driving. They get 4 yards. They get 5 yards. They get 3 yards. They got a 1st down going. They dump it out to the flat to De'Ami Brown. He catches it, starts running, and he fumbles the ball at the 39-yard line. was where they started that play. And then he fumbles it at the 48, at our own 48. When you've got the drive going, you're only down 7-3, and you're starting to move the ball down the field. And he fumbles it. He gives it to him. Philadelphia goes down the field and scores a touchdown. Now, later in the first quarter, I even talked about it, but Philadelphia scores a touchdown to go up 20-12. They kick the ball to Washington. McNichols fumbles it at our own 25-yard line. What do you think happens? Sack. So, sack. What am I thinking? Well, touchdown. So McNichols on the fumble, they only have to go 25 yards. They easily get in for another touchdown. And then next thing you know, it's 27-12. And this is right at the end of the first half. If you remember, this whole sequence it was 14-6. Washington scored a touchdown to get it to 14-12, missed the 2-point conversion. Philadelphia goes right down the field, and they score a touchdown. They kick it off. McNichols fumbles. They go down the field, score a touchdown. So even before Jaden Daniels can get back out on the field after the 14-12, they cut it to 14-12, he turns around, it's 27-12. And he does a nice job getting them down for a field goal to make it 27-15 at halftime. But man, what a backbreaker of a penalty of a fumble, a turnover, to give them a chance to score more points before the end of the half. Backbreaker. Now, you go into the second half, and you've got some things going each side. Now, the next thing you know, Philly's up 34-23. You've cut it to 34-23. You get a touchdown, 2-point conversion makes it 34-23. You got a first down at the 49. You're right at midfield with a first down. You dump it off to Eckler, and Eckler gets up, tries to make a play, and gets and fumbles the ball. And now the Eagles get it right there at midfield, basically, for their own 49, go right down the field and score a touchdown. And then the last one, of course, is and that's a huge momentum killer, too, because you've now cut it to 11, and you're going to move down the field. You score a touchdown there, and a 2-point conversion, it's a 3-point game. But he fumbled. That didn't happen. And Washington, not an excuse. I'm not excusing anything, just analyzing what happened. And, of course, the interception for Jaden Daniels in the end zone late in the game. At that point, I believe it was 48-23 already at that point. So it was pretty much over. But then what did Philadelphia do? They went right down the field and scored a touchdown. That was the Will Shipley drive right there, where they ended up scoring and obviously putting the game away for good. But also got to give credit to Philadelphia for causing those turnovers. These were not, our guy was running and he just dropped it. They were all punched out on those fumbles, and the interception by Quinyon Mitchell was awesome over Terry McLaurin, who is known for contested catches. Good on Philadelphia for doing all of those things. So turnovers is number 4. Let's get to the number 3 reason. And this is where Eagles fans will probably start saying, about time you got to him. Well, hey, I'm going in reverse order, so I'm getting towards the most important. Number 3, Saquon Barkley. That's the biggest reason why Washington lost the game. The third biggest reason why Washington lost this game. He was awesome. First offensive play, he goes 60 yards. And he exposes Washington for their weaknesses on the defense on that 60-yard run, but also just shows his amazing skill, his power, his speed, his vision, his cutback ability, everything. He's a difference maker, obviously. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But when he went towards that hole, Bobby Wagner is supposed to have that hole, and he was trying to get to that hole. Now, he tripped up over Dante Fowler, who's the edge, who's supposed to be setting that edge and didn't. He went inside, and then Bobby Wagner is supposed to hit that hole. He tripped over Fowler. Plus, he was going to be there a little bit late. Why? Because of his speed is not what it used to be and is not on any level the speed of Saquon Barkley. But then Barkley does things. He makes defensive backs miss, and he runs through tackles, and he runs past tacklers. All of this thing. Amazing game for Saquon Barkley. He had 15 carries for 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. Difference maker. That's why he's my number 3 reason Washington lost this game to Philadelphia. Now, this is where it gets tricky. You may quibble with what I'm about to say here in terms of number 2 and number 1 reason why. And that's great. Leave your comments in the comment section. Always happy to hear it. We always love a good discussion. We don't get personal with anybody. We don't attack anybody. We just like to have talks about it. And again, this is not an excuse, and this is not our way of trying to say coulda, woulda, shoulda, if, all that. No, we're not saying that at all. But number 2 reason for me was Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was simply awesome in this game. Was he gaslighting us, or was the media gaslighting us with the whole knee injury through the week, with the knee brace and the limping during practice? And were they just trying to fool us? Or as the new term nowadays is, gaslight us into believing he was hurt? Then just before he comes out on the field, he takes the brace off. Good on him. Play those mental games or whatever, and it'll work out for you. And it did. He was awesome. I mean, his stats were awesome. 20 of 28 for 246 yards, 1 touchdown and 0 picks. Only 2 sacks, had a 72.3 QBR and a 110.1 rating. He also had 10 rushes for 16 yards and, 3 touchdowns. A couple of them, of course, on the tush push, maybe 3 of them. After a while, 7 rushing touchdowns kind of gets jumbled in my head. Who scored them, when they scored them, how they scored them. But good on Jalen Hurts. We tried to say that Washington should put the game on his shoulders if he's not mobile. That's what Washington's defense did. They played a lot of zone concepts. They didn't blitz that much. When they did blitz, Saquon Barkley did an awfully nice job of picking up those blitzes. But he was cool. He was calm. He was throwing downfield. He was making proper reads. He was getting the ball out when he's supposed to get the ball out. He was accurate. Jalen Hurts was awesome in this game. I have to tell you that right now. And when he's mobile, like he was in this game on that one longer touchdown run. See, I remember that one now. 10 plus yards, maybe right around that. He's a different quarterback than he is. If he can't run, he's not quite where Philadelphia would want him to be. But when he can run like he did on Sunday, more power to him. God bless him. Great job, Jalen Hurts. Beat this defense to a pulp, and give a lot of credit to Jalen Hurts. But my number 1 reason why Washington lost the NFC Championship game to the Eagles is really, for me, kind of simple: the offensive line for Philadelphia. I've said it on this show a million times, and I'm old school, and people don't necessarily like to hear it. They love the high-scoring, 5 wide, up and down the field, and all this new style of football, and that's great. I love that as well. But the NFL, or football, professional football, has been around for like 100 years. And since the dawn of this game, since they invented football, up until today, the way games are won are in the trenches on a consistent basis. Can a Jaden Daniels overcome a leaky offensive line and win some games? Yes. Can he win some playoff games? Yes. Can a lot of quarterbacks do that? Yes. But if you don't have the horses, if you don't have, say it with me, the hogs on that offensive line, then you're going to win less than if you had the right offensive line going on in Washington. And Philadelphia had that. And again, a lot of credit to Philadelphia. They were playing with their left guard starting at center. Then he goes out, and the starting center, who wasn't supposed to play because of his back, he ends up going out there and playing anyway. As the center / left guard gets injured, one of their best offensive line. A lot of credit. You give up 2 sacks only. You have 229 yards rushing. You have 459 total yards in an NFC Championship game. That's because the guys were doing it in the trenches. And I can say the other way, Washington's offensive line wasn't good enough to run the ball because the defensive line of Philadelphia was owning the trenches there. But if you have a great offensive line, then you're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage, keep the ball The time of possession was even, but remember how much time Washington had that ball in that first drive, like 8 minutes in the very first drive. And yet by the end, Philadelphia and Washington had the ball for almost the exact same amount of time. So, man, it's tough to watch. It's tough to look at this game. But again, we're not making excuses. We're just analyzing and looking at all the biggest reasons. And I'll go down them again. The 5 biggest reasons why Washington lost this game to Philadelphia is: number 5, penalties. There weren't a lot of them, but they were crucial. The turnovers, they were 4 of them. And Philadelphia scored touchdowns off of all 4 turnovers. The 3rd biggest reason is Saquon Barkley. He's otherworldly. It's ridiculous what he can do on a football field. Number 2 is Jalen Hurts. He was awesome in this game. And as long as he's mobile, he is a top 10 quarterback, top 7 or 8 quarterback in this league. And the number 1 reason why Washington lost this game is Philadelphia's offensive line, who dominated the line of scrimmage. So if you are here, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Love to hear your comments and what you think about these 5 reasons why Washington lost this game. The future is bright in Washington. We talk about it all the time. You go into the offseason with a general manager who has proven he understands how to put together a football field. You have $90 million in cap space, which is 3rd best in the NFL. You've got 7 draft picks in the draft, which I believe 4 of them are in the top 100, right? You've got the 29th pick in the first round, which is crazy since last year we had the 2nd. Now, all of a sudden, we've got the 29th pick, which is pretty crazy to think about. But you got all these draft picks, and you've got all of the cap space that I talked about. You've got to look at some of the guys who are here, whether you're going to re-sign them. There's a lot of work to be done. But there has not been in 30 plus years this much hope and this much promise in Washington. All those things that we talked about can be fixed, both with coaching and with better talent. And hopefully that happens here in Washington, because, man, we've got a lot to look forward to. And the biggest reason is Mr. Jaden Daniels. Thank you for coming to Washington. Thank you for checking out this show. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. I'm the Stoner here on Rep the District. We are brought to you by Bet Online and Don't Sleep Energy. And until next time, be a fan.